morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are in this part of the world. I am in Nairobi, Kenya, East Africa. It is 7:30. It's evening where I am right now. It's a bit cold. You see me taking some coffee. I'm super excited to be doing the first live from Mindset Shift CEOs. We had taken a break because of personal reasons, but we're super excited to be back, taking back where we had stopped. Last time, Coach Joyceley, precisely, it was, I think, April 5, Coach Joyceley had started with what is self-reflection, and she had a very good discussion going on there. If you did not manage to join her live, make sure you watch the replay in the group or on her YouTube channel at, I think it's called Joyceley Chompire, at Joyceley Chompire. So I'm very excited to be here. I'm very happy. I thank God for the month that we had. It's a new month. We are in May. It's 4 months since we started the year, and I know a lot has been happening in your lives and in my lives. So I'll just do a bit of introduction about myself. And if you're watching me now, make sure to say hello to me to let me know that you're here, and make sure to allow StreamYard so that I can see your name. I've seen a Facebook user. Hi, Coach Joy. Hello, how are you, Coach Jane? I think it's Coach Joy's live. My name is Jane. I am a transformation mindset coach. And what I deal with is with people who are, experiencing limiting beliefs or thinking patterns, and you want to get rid of that. You want to start leading your authentic life. So what I do is I provide for you the guidance, the support. We work together, we explore opportunities. And as a transformation mindset coach, my focus is not just on your personal development. I also focus on your professional development, because the two, they're part of the same puzzle. So you can't just say, I'm working on my personal development or I'm working on my professional development. You have to blend the two. So apart from being a mindset coach, I am super happy to say that I am one of the co-founders of Mindset Shift CEOs, where we are streaming live from. Together with Coach Joyceley, we decided to create a platform where we empower everybody to have that CEO mindset. Remember that every day you wake up, you make the decision to go wherever you're going, to do whatever you're doing. And when you look at the qualities of a CEO, how they run a company, you are a company as you watch me here. So make sure that each and every day as you run your life, remember that you are the CEO. You run your life. And when somebody asks you, what do? Remember to say, number one, I am the CEO of my life. So if you're watching a replay, or if you're not a member of Mindset Shift CEOs, please make sure to join us. Come and join like-minded people. Come, let us have this community where we are empowering each other, where we are reminding each other that we are enough. Our mindset is our superpower. There's nobody who is like us on this earth, because I am unique and you are unique. So when you start comparing yourself, come back to the community and we remind you like, hey, you are enough, and that is your superpower. So I can see Coach Joyceley is here. Hi, Coach Joyceley, how are you? Great to be back again. So last time, Coach Joyceley had started with the topic of self-reflection. And again, she did an amazing job. I watched the replay and I thought she was having a conversation with Edward. And I believe, Edward, if you're watching or you're streaming live with us, we want to see that YouTube channel. We want to see you get empowered and come back and tell us that, yes, I did it. I got the confidence, or I figured out what I wanted. And here I am today. So a quick recap of what Coach Joyceley had covered last time. She started with giving us questions we can use with self-reflection. And the first question she gave us was, who am I? I believe that I'm not alone. Somebody has asked you before, hey, who are you, or what do you do? And you get stuck in that question. You're like, oh, that's a good question. Who am I? Who are you? And I've given you the first tip is to tell people I am the CEO of my life. And then from there, you lead that conversation, because again, as Coach Joyceley is going to tell us as a confidence coach, it just gets your confidence up here to realize that you are in charge of what you do. It is you for you. And then once you start loving yourself more, you can easily give me the answer of, who am I? The other question Coach Joyceley had given us, if not now, then when? And then the other one she gave us was what worries me the most about the future. I know we find ourselves thinking about the future, which is normal. If you don't visualize the future, then you cannot really plan for the present. But when you start visualizing for the future, like we started the year, and I was telling people to start seeing what do you want to see at the end of 2023. What version of you do you want to see at the end of 2023? Do you want to see a thriving person? Do you want to see a glowing person? Do you want to be married at the end of the year? Do you want to have a baby at the end of the year? Do you want your business to be from point A to point B? And this is how we visualize, by looking about the future. And when you think about the future and you realize, this is what worries me about the future, then you can start coming up with a plan of how you can sort that out. And then the other thing she asked us was, am I holding on to something I need to let go of? We are all guilty of this. We don't want to let go. We just want to cling on to things. And she told us that it is important to do the decluttering thing. It is important for us to let go. Remember, when you let go, especially things that are dragging you are creating space for new things. So if I'm still holding on to this mug, will I get space for another mug? High chances no. So if I let go of this mug, maybe it's broken, maybe it has cracked, then I give room to new things. I give room to more brilliant things that will come into my life. So again, she gave us a few ways on how we can do self-reflection. And she said, number one, write down things that you are grateful for. If you're not in a habit of writing down things, make sure you start writing down. You can write, I have a reminder at the end of the day at 9 p.m. my time, wherever I am. I have to ask, it tells me, what are you grateful for today? And I will start looking at what happened on that day. And that's a form of self-reflection. Start writing down what you are grateful for. And that way you're able to feel more confidence coming in. You're going to see it in the importance of self-awareness. And then the other thing she said, connect with nature. I don't know how many of us go out. You connect with nature just to see a tree, to see the leaves falling down, just to see an insect passing you. That's a way of connecting with nature. Disconnect from the normal that you know and start appreciating the things that are around you. And once you start appreciating the small things, bigger things will start revealing themselves to you. The other thing she said, appreciate loved ones. When was the last time you picked your phone and you told someone, hey, I appreciate you? As simple as that. Make it a habit. I remember it was one of the webinars we did with Coaching Minds, and Paul Smith told us to make it a habit too, to check in with loved ones, check in with people, make sure they know that you appreciate them. I take every chance, at least every week, to reach out to somebody, tell that person, hey, I appreciate you and thank you for XYZ. And imagine what happens to that person. I've received such a call and it made me feel so good. It made my day. It made me realize that, oh, wow, I might not realize the impact that I'm doing, but hey, somebody else is seeing my impact, and I love to make an impact in other people's lives. And then she said to pay attention to things happening in the present time. As we want to visualize in the future, paying attention to what is happening right now is very important, because when you pay attention to what is happening right now, what happens, you are able to see the different paths of things that are taking shape. If it's something that did not go as you wanted, how can you fix that? How can you make it better? Remember, we always say there's nothing about failure. It is about learning. Every day we are learning new things. We are getting to become better. And then lastly, she talked about think about future plans. Again, this is all about visualization. So when I was doing research on the importance of self-reflection, I came across something very interesting. I don't know if any of you knows it. It's called the Gibbs reflective cycle. And with Gibbs reflective cycle, it's a series, it's like a cycle. I know all of you know a butterfly cycles. So it is it's like a butterfly cycle where you go through a series of questions, with the first one being a description of what happened. So when we are doing that reflection, you ask yourself, what happened? And here is where you come to get the scene. What happened during that time? Who was I with? When did it occur? What did they do? Etc. etc. This is you living in the present, as you said before. When you are in the present, you are able to understand how that thing happened, a description of that. When an accident occurs, there has to be a detailed report of what, who, where, everything. So that if the insurance is going to reimburse, then they know why. If it's a medical issue, then there has to be that detailed report. And then the other thing is when you're doing that description, you're doing that self-reflection, make sure you're relevant and to the point. Because if you're vague in your description, there are high chances the results you get or the outcome you get in the end, it's going to be vague as well. And then the second phase is feelings. So from the description, you go to the feelings. Here you think about or you discuss about the feelings that and thoughts during that experience. So how did you feel at that time? What did you think at the time? This way you're going to be provoking the feelings that occurred during that time. What impact did your emotions, beliefs, and values have? So the more you ask yourself these questions, the more you come to realize, how am I feeling about this situation? Does it make me feel good? Does it make me feel bad? And then now you move to the next stage, which is evaluation. Now that you have assessed your feelings in the evaluation stage, you ask yourself, how did things go? And then again, you're going to assess your feelings. Did I feel good or bad? And when you go there, you're going to be, was it good or what was bad about the experience? Give a detailed report. Hey, it is your life. As the CEO, you have to be as detailed as possible, because that way, the more you write, the more you come to see a pattern. And I always say detective work is very nice, because when you start seeing a pattern, you're able to draw the line, you're able to see where these two cross paths, where this and this can stop intertwining and all that. Ask yourself during the evaluation, what went well, what didn't go well. Were your contributions positive or negative? This is all part of the self-reflection. You're able to evaluate the situation, you're able to evaluate things. And then again, move to the next stage, which is, according to Gibbs, is analysis. This is where you make sense of what happened, analyze these things. Again, the detective work comes in. And then the other one is conclusion. So when you're doing the conclusion, you ask yourself, what have I learned? Jane, what did you learn from this situation? Is it something that general, or is it something specific? I have to write down these things, because once I write them down, I'm able to, speak to myself. It's like I'm speaking to myself. And then what can I do better now? Remember, we said again, it's not about failing, it's about learning. And when you ask yourself, Jane, what can you do better right now that you've seen how you're feeling, you've analyzed everything, you've seen how all things have gone? How can I make this situation better? How can I step out tomorrow and in the same situation be a better version of myself? And a good example I can use is maybe you had a presentation. This is the easiest of them all. And you feel like that presentation did not go as much as I wanted. So instead of feeling bad or feeling sad about it, sit down, do that reflection, go through the process, ask yourself what went well, what did not go well, what did I learn about this? Did I prepare enough? So you start giving yourself answers about this. And then finally, you do the action plan. This is where you have new knowledge, because when you do this process, you're getting a new knowledge. So this new knowledge, you're not just going to sit on it. No, you're going to act on that new knowledge. You're more knowledgeable. You're a better version of yourself. Not even yesterday, a minute ago, because you have sat down, taken time to do the self-reflection, self-evaluation, and now you're here. You know what went well, what did not go well. And then here you ask yourself, how can I adapt or improve my skills? Because you have done the job, you have done the analysis. And again, you can ask yourself, if the same thing happens again, what will I do differently? If I am doing that presentation again, what will I do differently? If I go for that interview and again, how will I make sure that I get that job? If I approach that girl again, how will I let her know that I really like her? If I am going to do XYZ, how can I do it differently? Remember, at the end of the day, it's about learning and it's never about failure. I see Coach Dressler here says, every situation gives us a learning opportunity. It's up to us as individuals to discover what we want to learn. I agree with you, Coach Joyce. Like, and I came to realize that before, when I came to learn about the mindset shift thing, I used to look at the negativity in situations. There are two parts here. There's the positivity, there's the negativity. But my focus was 70% was more towards the negative side. And what happens when I'm inclined to that negativity? I am not able to become a better version of myself. I keep feeling sorry for myself. I keep staying under the blanket. I don't want to explore. I don't want to do anything because 70% is on the negative beat. But when I switch that and now it's 90% on the positive, because I'll not lie to you, negative thoughts always come, but how we deal with them matters a lot. Thank you so much for that, Coach Joyce Loy. Now that you have a bit of idea about the Gibbs cycle, let's move to the importance of self-reflection. And if you're joining me, why do you think self-reflection is important? You can let me know in the comments as I clear my throat. All right. Now, the first thing is Coach Joyce mentioned something important in the last webinar. Self-reflection helps in self-awareness. I remember I think it was in December, we did a webinar about the importance of self-awareness. We did a deep dive of self-awareness, where we talked about, we did the definition and all that. And there's some key points that came in mind. There's some key points that I would like to highlight. And one of them is we get to lead authentic lives when we have that self-awareness. So when you do self-reflection, you're able to know who you are. The first question that we are told to reflect upon is, who am I? So when I'm able to know who I am able to lead a more authentic life. I'm able to know what makes me happy, what makes me unhappy. I'm able to enter into relationships that speak to me and not into relationships that I'm constantly complaining, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm able to choose the events that I will attend and not go to events and come back saying, I wish I never went, because that's a negative thought. I'm able to know my values. I remember I think it was in February, I was doing a challenge of value month challenge using the alphabet. You identify the values that matter most to you. And when you do this, by identifying values alone, it's a form of self-reflection. When I sit down and think of letter A, what values align with me that start with letter A? There are so many values, but not all the values align with you. So when you do this self-reflection, you're able to become authentic, know what works best for you, know which areas are best for you, and you start going in that direction. You start illuminating brightness. Not all the time your face is frowning, you're like, I wish I knew all the time, I wish I knew, but you're supposed to be on the other side where you're like happy, you know who you are, you know what you want, you know what you stand for, you know your values. And I know at one point you have met someone who is like, I'm sorry, I cannot do that because it doesn't go with my values. So this is a person who is protecting themselves. They don't want to find themselves in a position where they're like, oh my God, I wish I never did that. The other thing is we get to better manage criticism. And why I bring up criticism is because we pay a lot of attention to what other people are saying about us. And I'll use social media as a good example. We are more concerned with the comments that we get. We are more concerned, how many likes do I get? We are more concerned with all these things that we tend to waste a lot of time. We tend to, feel sorry for ourselves. We tend to find ourselves even in a state of, drinking just to forget what is happening, doing things that don't align with our values. But when we do self-reflection, we go back to the self-awareness bit. You know who you are, what you stand for. You don't take things personally that people say about you, because I know who Jane is. And if you come and tell me something, I will not take it as criticism. I will take it as a feedback, because that is how you see me. Those are the lenses. You look at me and that's what you see. Because remember, we all have different lenses. We all have the 5 senses. So we cannot all be the same, and everybody is unique in their own way. So when somebody comes to you and they tell you, Jane, you're XYZ, and I know I'm not XYZ, I'll take it as feedback, but I might decide to venture out and see why did this person tell me this? And once I figure out, okay, maybe I need to pay attention to XYZ, or maybe this person was just going through something that made them tell me this thing. So when you do the self-reflection, you become self-aware. And when you're self-aware, you're able to take criticism better. When you are at work and your boss or someone tells you something that you feel like they are pointing fingers at you, do that self-reflection. Ask yourself why. Why did this person tell me this? Because sometimes people tell us things that we think are negative, but they're coming from a very positive place. Now, if you missed that video on self-awareness we did in December, you can watch it in the Mindset Shift CEOs group, or you can go to our YouTube channels and watch the replay. So the second thing about why self-reflection is good, apart from self-awareness, is it helps increase self-acceptance. Again, when you look at criticism, you start seeing yourself more. When you start doing the self-reflection, you start seeing, oh, so these are my superpowers. This is what I do good. And as a mindset coach, I said I don't just deal with personal, I deal also with the professional development. Because when you start seeing your superpowers, you start radiating some very nice energy in both your personal and your professional life. As we always say, something can be happening in your personal life and it's affecting your professional life. So when you have a balance of when you have a balance of the two, you are able to start radiating that energy. So with self-reflection, you're able to start having self-acceptance. It will boost your confidence as well, because I will know this is my weakness and I will accept that is my weakness. So even when someone points it out, whether from a good place or a bad place, I have already made peace with that. So it gives me that room for self-acceptance. And then number three, experience. We are always learning. We are always in school learning. I always say I'm a student of life. I am learning every minute. Every minute I get, I want to learn. And why we open Mindset Shift CEOs is it's because Coach Joycelyn and I, we've not figured it all out. We are still learning every day, and having a community of like-minded people, having a community of people who hold their head high and say, yes, I'm the CEO of my life. We are able to learn from one another. We are able to get how I can become better than the Jane who was like a minute ago, how Coach Joy can become better than she was a minute ago. So it is a community of us getting that experience. And then it helps you understand areas where you may not be performing well. And when you do self-reflection, you're able to see, my boss told me this. Why did my boss tell me this? What do I need to do about this? Again, you go back to those questions. Ask yourself these questions. They might be painful at first, but once you get used to the process, you start seeing the results. You start yielding the results. You start accepting yourself as you are, because people tell us things, we think they're speaking from an ill place, but in the truth of the matter, they care about us. They want us to be better. I see a comment from Coach Joyce Loy, and she says self-reflection enables us to identify areas of improvement in our lives and also our strengths. I agree with you, Coach Joycelyn. When we sit down, we do that reflection, we are able to see which areas need improvement. And there's no shame. There's nobody who is perfect on this earth. That's the truth of the matter. So when we accept this, we are able to improve, we're able to learn, we're able to become better each and every day. And when you do this self-reflection, you are able to accept change. Change is very important. And once we accept this change, we are able to see progress. Who doesn't want to see progress in their lives? So when you do all this, you're able to see that progress going on in your life. So I had prepared the 3 points. One, with self-reflection, it helps you develop self-awareness, it helps you with self-acceptance, and it helps you to build that experience. And a quick tip as I wind up is other ways you can do self-reflection. Apart from what Coach Joycelyn shared with us, apart from the Gibbs cycle, there's something that is called the 7 streams of life from Coach in Mind. In other places, they call it the cycle of life. And in the 7 streams of life, Coach in Mind, they call it the 7 streams of life because it is part and parcel of who you are. And this is where you look at your career or business, you look at your finances, you look at your family and friendships, you look at your health, you look at your personal growth, you look at your spirituality. When I'm starting the year, I always sit down and make sure that I look at all these key areas in my life because, again, they're streams of life. They all come together. I cannot be looking at my career and business and forget about my spirituality, forget about my family, forget about my personal growth. When you start doing the reflection for all these areas of your life, you'll come to realize again, they're all intertwined, they're all linked together. They are all areas that when you start working with them, when you start seeing a pattern from your career, a pattern from your finances, then you're able to become a better version of yourself. So when you're doing self-reflection, don't just focus on one area in your life. Don't just focus on your professional development. Focus also on your personal development. Let yourself glow. Let that energy that you have at work, you also bring it at home. I've had a client before who was experiencing challenges at work. And then these challenges, she started realizing that these challenges are affecting her family. She had a young child. The young child wanted attention from mommy. But when mommy comes from work, what happens? Mommy is mad because something happened at work. Mommy is tired. Mommy is XYZ. So what happens? This child does not get the energy that she wants from her mother. And what happens to that child? She starts saying, oh, mommy hates me. Oh, mommy XYZ. So when we start checking them, how these areas intertwine, when you do that self-reflection, when you start realizing that, oh, this is happening to my life. So like how we had to sit down and check, how can she make this situation better with her child? Because that's a bond that needs to be maintained. And how can she do that without affecting her job? And this all came through self reflection. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you watch me from wherever you are, self reflection is very important. If you want to lead an authentic life, if you want to be the CEO of your life, you have to sit down and do self reflection. You have to take the time, whether in the morning, in the evening, whatever time that suits you. Because, again, I say we are not all the same. Someone can be very comfortable in the morning. Someone can be very comfortable after lunch, although I feel I might sleep after lunch. Someone might be very comfortable before bed. It's up to you to choose a time that is suitable for you. Take that time. Ask yourself, how did the day go? Am I happy with the results of the day? What can I do to make XYZ better? And when you do that, you start realizing that things are starting to take the shape that you want in your life. I'm not saying this because I have been trained. I'm not saying this because I've heard from someone. I'm saying this because I have experienced this. With self reflection, you can go further. With self reflection, things like confidence, self awareness, self acceptance, they start coming in naturally. So that brings me to the end of this week's live. Coach Jocelyn, it was lovely to have you there and everyone else who's watching me. If you're not a member of Mindset Shift CEOs, I highly urge you to join us on Facebook. It is a community where we want all of us to grow, we want all of us to glow, we want all of us to thrive because alone I can go far, but together we can go further. We want to see the world, we want to see everyone smiling because things like stress are better managed, things like procrastination are better handled, things like overthinking, they're better handled, and etc. etc. So if you're watching it on YouTube, make sure to give me a follow and follow us on Facebook group. Come and give us the energy. Come and educate us as well. As we said, we are learning. We are students of life. And to all the coaches out there, it is International Week, Coaches Week, starting on 8th of May. I wish all of you the very best. Let us make a difference in the community. If you're not a coach, it is a week for you to learn. Make sure you take advantage of that. Until next week, I wish all of you a fantastic day or evening, depending on where you are. Thank you.